He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the race. You have to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and welcome all inside High and Tight, the flagship show, part of the IA Baseball Network, where we go baseball across the state, from high school, professional, and the college ranks. Of course, we do a lot in the high school baseball side of things, but again, we're all over the board. I am Andrew Brown, your host here at High and Tight, and again, asking everybody out there, hey, you want to co-host with me? I want you on. Would love to talk baseball with you, and so go ahead, hit me up. Hit us up, iabaseball1@gmail.com. Again, that's iabaseball1@gmail.com. You'll be able to reach out, and not just to be a co-host, but also for all the types of things such as video highlights, player performance of the week, stat lines, photos, videos, all kinds of things, even just thoughts. That's a great place for you to hit us up. Also, hit us up all across the social media scene as well, from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It doesn't matter. We're all there. And a great chance for you to connect with us as we connect with you as well. As we go through, if you're new to the show, we start things off by looking at some highlights of the week and then dive into our performances of the week. And not just the performances themselves, but we also get a winner as voted on partly by you, the fans. A big part of it comes down to your voting on Facebook each and every Sunday. In this case, we moved it to Monday, but it was the voting that officially goes up. You get nominations all throughout the week, and then Saturday we tally all those nominations, and then Sunday you vote on those nominations. And whoever gets the most votes is most likely going to end up the winner. So make sure to get your votes in along with your nominations. All right, so as we go through, I got some headlines here for you as we go through some Andrew's headlines. And the first thing that I got to say is respect the West. We've seen so much talent in Central Iowa and Eastern Iowa, from Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines. We've seen dominance there for a long time, but now we're starting to see the wild, wild West come to fruition in baseball as well. And it's about time that we give them the respect. And I'm not saying, guys, that we need to go ahead and sing their praises. No. But I'm saying teams like Akron Westfield, Remsen St. Mary's, Galen Catholic, Bishop Heelan, Sioux City East, MOC Ford Valley, even Sioux City North. All those teams and many more are Kingsley Pearson. They're rocking it right now. And they have been consistently. So it's now time that we call ourselves an entire state where we have great, talented players. And I got to say, it is truly an entire state. And a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot, but a bunch of others have known that already, including, as I bring them up right there, big picture of Dan McDonald right there. But again, he's a guy, as I bring it smaller there, he's a guy I got the chance to talk to a couple years ago, and he had mentioned that he loves coming into the state of Iowa. Dan McDonald loves coming into the state of Iowa to look at all the great talent that is in here. And he is a Hall of Fame college coach. Will be, I should say. And if he's looking at it, the entire state has the talent. So let's give the rest of the state, including the West, the respect it deserves as great talent in Iowa. Also, I want to give a shout out here to a really, really, really cool tournament here. The Granville Spalding tournament is something that is put on there. It's Granville Spalding, and it is truly, it's a great tournament. It's a multi-day tournament. You have to win to move on, and it has continued to be a huge pride point in Northwest Iowa. I wish we had more tournaments like this. And again, I want a lot of tournaments like this. We already have the great the great steady tournaments like the Prongy Classic, the Tim Hagen Invitational, and we have many more. But I would also like a whole lot of the same setup that the Granville Spalding tournament has. Again, you have 5, 6 teams or more in it, and you have to win. You lose, you're out. But if you win, you get to move on and potentially to the next day. So it's a multi-day tournament, and I think it's just so fun because you're on the edge of your seat. Are you going to win? Are you going to catch the win? Do you get to move on? It's a good glimpse of what will come in postseason. So it's a good primer for what the postseason has coming up. So again, Granville Spalding, you do a heck of a tournament. Absolutely love that. And then I also got to give a shout out to former Iowa baseball coach Tyler Cropley. He is in the mix now. He is manning the duties, helping PBR Iowa all across the state. And I got to say, it's a huge gain for Rob Allison and company. PBR Iowa is now in such a good shape. Tyler Cropley, good job. I think that he is, honestly, my thoughts on him. He has been honestly one of the premier guys, and there he is right there. He's been one of the premier batters in the state since he was Iowa Western, moving on to the Iowa Hawkeyes, and then got the chance to get some action as a Kansas City Royal. He knows the level up and down, left, right, everywhere. And he knows baseball to a T. And so, hey, if you get the chance, message him, hit him up. He's going to be a big part of what PBR does going forward. So it's a huge gain for the state of Iowa that he remains here, continues to produce just great stuff here in Iowa. And then lastly, I also want to give a shout out to the Johnston Dragons, and more so, Michael Barta, the coach for the Dragons. I got to say, we are midway through the season, and that's midway closer to his farewell. Again, he has announced before the season started that this would be his last in a Dragon uniform. And I got to say, it's a big bummer, but man, I think it's about time that we start the appreciation tour. I think it's about time to do that. I know midway is kind of interesting, but this guy is now in his 14th season as the head coach for Johnston. And what has he done in this time? I mean, countless people have come out of that program and want to come back for the alumni game. And in the end, this is a guy who has created atmosphere of analytics, old school baseball, just such a fantastic atmosphere outside of the baseball season as well. Guys want to just be on the baseball side of things purely because of him. His atmosphere, his engagement, everything he brings is so hypnotizing. It is truly, and he's always for the betterment of the players. Every guy is on there, and I got to say, there's not been a single negative word about him. He is truly, look, I know we're blessed to have so many great coaches in the state, but he is truly one of the best because of the atmosphere he provides, the energy that he gives. I mean, preseason, in just scrimmages alone, it is a heck of an ordeal. It's amazing to watch. And that's just before the season gets going. Again, he brings the energy to this program. And the stats itself, they tell the complete story. There are a few coaches in the history of Iowa high school baseball that you erect a statue for. Michael Barta has to be one of those. In 14 seasons with the Johnston Dragons, he has led this team to 7 title games. That's right. He has missed, I think, 1 or 2 state tournaments in his entire time. Johnston has been good before it. He has taken the Dragons to a whole new level. And just a few times in his entire tenure have they not made the state tournament, but they have made 7 title games. Of those 7 title games, 5 were championships. Championship winning seasons. Think about that. Not many coaches can claim that, especially in 4A. He has managed to make it dominant. He has managed to do one of the hardest things in the world and one of the toughest classes in the world, and he has managed to make it amazing. So let's start that statue building right now, Michael Barta. Again, 5 titles, 7 title games in 14 seasons. You just can't ask much more than that. And again, there's so much more that we can get into, but I'll leave it at that. Erect the statue right now, and let's be appreciative of the amazing talent that we have had at the coaching realm across the state and, of course, with the Johnston Dragons. But as we go forward now, ladies and gentlemen, we dive into our performance of the week. That's right. We dive into our performance of the week. And again, this is brought to you by the great folks at Casmium Sports. And again, as we go in and take this in, again, as we bring up the official performance of the week graphic here, I want to say thanks to everybody for putting in their nominations. Thank you so very much for helping us to see so much great talent across the state, so many great players. Thank you so very much for doing that. So again, this is our performance of the week brought to you and powered by Casmium Sports. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, we start with a heck of a pitching performance in Bodie Calling, who went 5 innings, 1 hit, 9K allowed against MOC Floyd Valley. Made it look like they were having the worst time out there. And MOC is a heck of a hitting team. Bodie Calling made it like they were maybe JV. And that's saying something. So that is this performance is an entirely different level. So again, Bodie Calling earning his way onto the mark as well. Also, got to give a shout out to Drake Steele. 5 2/3 innings pitched, I should say. 13 strikeouts, 2 hits. Pleasantville. I mean, are you kidding me? How do you do that against a squad like that who remains undefeated? In the end, he did his part. Drake Steele, congrats. Heck of a performance. Again, that is above the clouds, upper echelon type of performance. Speaking of which, Zane Johnson against Atlantic. Can't get much better, right? In the end, 2 hits, one of them being the long ball, drives in 3. That's what you want. As a coach, you'll take that any single day of the week. And, of course, moving on, Hunter Sunkel as well. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit allowed, 11 strikeouts. 21 outs to work with. He said, I'll take half. And he goes and takes a good performance. Speaking of good performance, Maddox Strasburg had a grand salami. A chance to, again, send it over the fence. 5th of the year. 4 runs driven in. Again, 3 hits, one of them being the long ball. He is on a tear for Cedar Falls this season. And, of course, Keegan Evans. I mean, a stat line like that, I'd take any day. 3 hits, 4 runs, 4 RBIs. He crossed the plate. He did it all with the bat. Phenomenal game from him against, again, a good Centerville squad. And moving along, Tim Rogers. Heck of a name, but heck of a performance. In the end, he goes for the cycle, ladies and gentlemen. You can't ask for much better than that. And what do we see here? The rare double-digit total base mark in one game. One game. This was a heck of a performance. Tim Rogers against Murray, again, goes for the cycle. 4 runs driven in, 10 total bases. I don't know. Can you do much better? Not really. But speaking of can't do much better, Ian Eldred, 5 hits, one of them being the long ball, brings in 3. Phenomenal. And again, the Tigers, in large part, their success due to this guy right here, absolutely killing it. Speaking about killing it, Maxon Elskinson, and I'm sorry if I said that name wrong, but the performance I can't deny. Out of Northeast, 4 hits, 2 of them being for the long ball. Of course, when you have 2 long balls in there, you're going to drive in some runs. 6 runs driven in. Anamosa is a team that just doesn't happen much against. In the end, Northeast, he is one of the main reasons why I think Northeast is going to make a big run this year. I am very excited about where the Rebels are taking off to. And, of course, we continue on with Allen Pace against Twin Cedars. Heck of an outing there. I mean, with 3 hits, you find your way to the home plate 3 different times, 3 runs driven in. That's a coach's dream for sure. And speaking about it, Caleb Peters against Waterloo West. The Battle of Waterloo goes to the east, and Caleb Peters a big part of that. 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. Heck of an outing for him. And, of course, Colin Holman, as we mentioned already, Boynton Hole Rock Valley, it's not going to be easy to get against them. The Den Hartogs of the world and company are going to make it difficult. But he goes out and gets 6 innings, 12 strikeouts. Again, he too said, I'll take half the outs by myself. He gets 12 Ks. He also added 3 hits in the performance as well. That's an outing that you won't soon forget. And then we wrap up with Will Piero. He was part of a 2-man wrecking crew on the mound against Western Dubuque. And in the end, 7 innings pitched. He tossed 8 strikeouts, allowed just 2 earned runs on the outing. Phenomenal from him. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to dive into our winner. And that's right, we get our winner, and we're going to get our timpani roll going. The winner, as partly voted on by you, the fans, Bodie Calling at Sioux City East. That is a heck of a performance, and not only is the guy batting over 300, he has nearly a double-digit extra base hit count offensively, and then on the other end of that, he is absolutely doing everything he can, and then some. Again, like I mentioned, he now is up to 33 strikeouts on the year. Teams hitting just 202 against him. A big highlight, just 2 walks. He has been stellar. So just 2 walks. He is our this week winner in our performance of the week, brought to you by Casmium Sports. Check them out today, Casmium Sports. Again, Bodie Calling, our week 5 winner. So appreciate it. Again, get your votes in, get your nominations in first, then get your votes in, and you could be like Bodie Calling, earning our performance of the week for this great past week. And again, on Saturdays, we go ahead and tally all the nominations. And of course, on Sunday, we go ahead and dish out who are the nominations and who's the winner. So again, hit us up wherever you can find us. Does include Instagram, X, Facebook, and of course, iabaseball1@gmail.com. I'll bring it up here for you again, iabaseball1@gmail.com. Another great way to contact us. All right, so now we move on to some big plays that happened and a lot of things. And it was hard to really cram it into just a couple minutes, but I did my best anyway. We had a lot of good performances, a lot of big hits here, and I want to give plenty of shout out here. Ben Patton I haven't said his name yet. He had his second home run, a big shot there. Also, Adler Gibbs, we got the chance to see him in person. Got to give a shout out to Gabe Meany, Meany. Again, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He's also on the highlight reel as well. But I also before I do, I want to give a shout out to Anthony Eaton out of Nevada for picking up his 100th career hit. That's a milestone hit. We talk about milestone coaching wins, milestone type of hit. He is the 4th Cub in the Bound era to collect 100-plus hits in his career, again, for Nevada baseball. Currently sits at 103 behind, again, Alex Good at 122, Jack Higgins, and, of course, Trent Stahl as well. Congratulations, Anthony Eaton. You have officially etched your name into history. So let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. With that, let's get to our amazing scene this week, brought to you by Eagle Claw. Nobody out and a runner on second. And that one gets a hot rocket out there. Adler, nice pick to fire and exchange. Wow. That was pretty fun to watch there. Heck of a play there by the underclassman, and he made it look rather easy.
Good kitten. Oh, is that gone?
Come on, Gabe!
Doesn't go. And Frost hits one in the air to left. This one's high. This one's far, and we're tied. The first Jackson Frost home run of the 2025 season. I think he's back. We're tied at 3.
Black Raiders finish off with a triple play.
And again, those were some great highlight videos here from across this week in Amazing Scene this week. Again, brought to you by Eagle Claw Analytics. Again, gosh, you guys, you got to check them out. Eagle Claw does a fantastic job of bringing you great stuff, and I do mean it. Again, it's recruiting made easy. It can be done quick, simple, and you can be confident from both the parent's perspective and the player's perspective. You're going where you want to go, or you know where to work to get up to. They've got it all covered for you. Check it out at eagleclawanalytics.com. All right, so now as we go through, again, we get to the part of the show in which we have some really fun conversations. And this is one where we get to dive into Coach Stenberg out of Grinnell in his Milestone 300. I mean, along with Harpenaugh hitting his 400, Pat Brown out of Grundy Center hitting his 100, we get the chance to now talk about number 300 for the Grinnell coach, who, again, across Alburnett and Grinnell has had a fantastic coaching career. And we got to pick his brain a little bit, not only his thoughts on the milestone, but also how Grinnell baseball is doing at this moment. And again, so hopefully you get the chance to sit back, relax, and enjoy our conversation with Coach Stenberg right here and right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thanks again for tuning in. This is all about baseball in Iowa, from the high school to college and professional ranks. We always like to have a lot of fun here, and we sure do enjoy it when you come with us and have a lot of fun as well. This show, again, is all about highlighting what we've got going on in this great state of Iowa of ours. And so a lot to like and a lot to dive into. And again, if you're new to the show, welcome. I am Andrew Brown, the host here of High and Tight, and we have a lot of fun. And again, if you've ever gotten the chance to see what we do on social media all across, it's really just truly about really highlighting really to the rest of the country what goes on here in the state of Iowa, all the great baseball that is had. And so again, this show is again, we've gone through our performance of the week, and as always, you can throughout the week nominate your performance or performances of the week. If there's a 2-game, 3-game stretch where someone's rocking it, give us the stats for those, and preferably a picture if you can. But give us all that kind of stuff. Give us that, highlight reels, highlight videos. Let us help put it out there here for you as well. So we would love to highlight anything. And so that's our performance of the week. And then, of course, Amazing Scene this week is a segment where we dive into those videos, the big-time hits, the big-time plays, anything that really stood out, we want to highlight as well, and we want to bring it to you guys. So continue to give us your big videos, any big moments that you have, photos, videos, doesn't matter. We want to see it. We want to get it out there. But along with that, we have all the conversations that we really, really, I think, have a great time with. And that includes when we get not just player highlights, but coaching highlights as well, right? And there's one of the coaching highlights that I absolutely love the most. And I truly believe that this is one of the things that I get a kick out of. Perhaps maybe even more so than others. But I love it when you have coaches to get the recognition that they deserve. Because let's be honest, the players, rightfully so, kind of steal the spotlight, and they end up taking a lot of it. But in the end, you get coaches like Coach Stenberg out of Grinnell baseball picking up the big 300 And the fact that he is now joining an elite squad, again, less than 1% or so of coaches to hit such a mark, and that is a very, very huge in the grand scheme of things. So we thought might as well get the chance to catch up with the guy who has made it all possible here for Grinnell baseball. A lot of great moments, and we're jumping on him here on the Inslights.com hotline. Coach Stenberg joining us, and Coach, appreciate you jumping on. Thanks again for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. We really appreciate what you guys do covering, baseball in our great state. And like you said, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, well, and gosh, it makes it so easy when the players that we have here, and also coaches like yourself, who again get such a milestone, and I think it truly is. It speaks volumes to what we have in the state. But I first want to ask, what is it like? I know that we've had several games since you hit that mark, and I know, in talking with other coaches, you are one that looks at what's the next game, what's right for your players. So not a lot of talk on yourself, but I guess I'll do that here for you. But I got to ask, what was it like to get that kind of milestone win, to have a little bit of the pat on the back?
Yeah, it's something that I'm proud of. Something that we've worked really hard for. But I would be lying if I didn't mention how awesome of a support staff I've had. And you can't get to that milestone without really good assistant coaches. And I've been blessed, both at Alburnett and at Grinnell. I've been blessed with tremendous assistant coaches. Some of my best friends have been alongside with me with that, and that's key. And then on top of that, obviously, to win 300 games, you need to have really good players, and we've had some really good teams at both spots that I've been fortunate to coach, and just great groups that kind of buy into what we want to do. And so it's a special number of wins and something that I'm proud of. But it doesn't happen without all those guys.
Well, of course, and what I find to be very consistent with both of those programs here, Alburnett and Grinnell, is the love of baseball. And I know that's not necessarily the same everywhere. I know that some schools you get different sports that kind of reign a little bit more supreme, but it seems as though there's a healthy love for baseball, especially right now at Grinnell. How would you describe Grinnell? I mean, just if you could encapsulate it, how would you describe Grinnell and the love and the support that really the community, not just the administration, has for the team?
Yeah, the community is great. Starting with our players, parents, and families, and their friends. They do anything that we need to be a successful program, and you need that kind of support to have success. And I think what's really taken off here recently is our youth baseball and softball programs, and I think to see the people turn out for that, and we host our youth night and see the large crowds of people there. That's kind of where it starts, and I think we have a really good thing going in Grinnell as far as baseball goes. And like I said, we couldn't do that without tremendous community support.
It truly is fun to watch and develop. And, since you've been there, you've gotten to see some guys go up, move through the ranks. Obviously guys graduate, but you get guys coming in. What is that feeling like as a coach to see guys go through and know that you've had a hand in the success, whether they go on to play college baseball or not? What's it like to kind of see that move through? Again, I know this isn't the first time for you by far, but to see guys come through, to see guys start off young, succeed, and move on to the next level. I mean, what does that mean to you as a coach to kind of see that and to know that you are at least a little bit a part of that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's super awesome to see, a kid come in as a freshman and see the growth that they've shown by the time they're a senior. And I think, each of the kids over the last 8 years here in Grinnell would be able to say, like, this would have done after 4 years. And, there's a certain way that we like to do things, the way we hustle on and off the field, and the way we're going to play the game the right way, and do the little things. And those are things that, we haven't stopped pushing for the last 8 years. And way back to that first class of seniors my first year, that kind of took a risk buying into that program. They kind of set the tone, and every group sent. It's awesome to see young kids grow up to be pretty as they exit our program.
And man, I love to hear that. Again, it's part of the culture that we see from Grinnell quite a bit here. And as you as you go and again, I know you're in season. I know the focus is on winning games and making these kids excel. But when you look back and you get the chance to see the names up there that you have seen, that you've been a part of, that you are now a part of, I guess I should say, the fact that you are amongst an elite group of guys. Do you kind of get a little chill, or I've had coaches say that it's really humbling, a little bit of chills down their spine when they see the names that they're amongst. And I know you've coached against some of those guys and amongst those guys, and you've seen a lot of guys come through that maybe you have looked up to. But what does it feel like for you to see your name again in that 300 mark amongst some of the great names that have ever coached this game?
Yeah, I was lucky to play with and coach with as an assistant under some really good coaches that are on that list. And so those are guys I always look up to, and then so to see their names and then names of Hall of Fame coaches that I've coached against, and as I can continue to get closer to their win totals, it's a huge honor. But I have to give credit, like I said, one shout out I want to give is Coach Anderson, Derek Anderson. He was coach at Benton Community, passed away a few years ago. But I coached with him and learned so much from him. And I think to now have passed his win total and all the things that he has taught me and allowed me to coach the game the right way and those types of things. I think I owe a ton of credit to him. That's just one example, but there's lots of examples of coaches that I've coached against or coached with that have made a huge impact on my life, and that's why I'm where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I mean, from the Gebhardts of the world, Sowers of the world, of course, Nusses. I mean, doesn't matter that Sycamas. There's been a lot there, and a lot of a lot of great names that you are now a part of, and of course, we can't wait to see that increase as we go forward and see that name continue to move up the leaderboard and up into those other win clubs as well. But now I want to ask here, Coach. I want to shift a little bit to the team. And this is a program that it has been highlighted the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I mean, it has really been a program that has been not only been on the rise, but you've had a little bit of changes here. It changed conference up, and I know that sometimes that doesn't always look a little different schedule wise. I guess not right away anyway. But I want to ask, what has it been like to kind of change conference venue a little bit and see and kind of mix it up? What has that experience been like for this program?
Yeah, as a baseball program, we loved competing in the Little Hawkeye. Obviously, tremendous teams and talent that we would play every year. We just felt like as a school, maybe moving to the WAMAC was a good move for us because we're similar in size with those types of schools. And the WAMAC has a deep tradition of baseball and really good baseball, and we found that out the last couple of years. We've competed well in the conference, but we've had there's some very good teams that we play night in, night out, and so there's no taking nights off. So it's been a lot of fun, and honestly, selfishly for me, growing up playing in the WAMAC, I'm excited about being back in the WAMAC and being able to see some similar coaches and teams that maybe I haven't seen in a few years.
Yeah, it's, certainly. It just breeds so much better, great competition. And obviously Grinnell has done that. The last several years, Grinnell's been a team that's been on our radar for so long. And again, it's to watch this program continue to prove themselves here. You get a lot of guys like Brady Kaufman. I wanted to just touch up on him a bit. Guys like that who you see and you go, man, it seems like he's been here for 8 years, but he's been a guy that's been contributing for so long now. And it seems as though, again, Coach, I know each year is different. Every 4 years a little bit different here. Get some ebbs and flows, but it seems that there are a lot of guys. And again, you speak to the youth scene in baseball there. It seems like a lot of these guys are coming up and they're ready. They hit freshmen and they're not just kind of easing into it. They seem to be ready. Obviously, Brady being one of several guys on this roster that have been very I think impactful, very, I want to say, very diligent. It just seems that no matter what they do, they're very diligent in going about about their business and about how they operate. So I wanted to get your take on guys like that, because it seems as though this community just churns out guys like that. And what does that do for a program from you as a coaching perspective?
Yeah, Brady's a tremendous player. I think the biggest thing for him this year as a leader is just how he's grown into, he's bought into our program. He's bought into every message that we, try to instill in our guys, and he's doing a great job of leading our sophomores and our freshmen that are part of our program as well. And so, we've had a lot of guys like Brady that are going to go on to play collegiately that have left the program in a really good spot, and Brady's on his way to do the same thing. But I think, as we get going with these younger groups, like, we're to the point now where these are the groups that have gone through our camps and have gone through our youth programs and have gone through, the travel teams that we've created and whatnot. And so with that, that's allowed them to kind of come into the program ready to roll. And, they've done a tremendous job throughout the years to get ready for this moment.
Yeah, and again, certainly one of those guys that will be taken off to the next level. I selfishly am very happy for him staying, being a senior right now. But again, I know that bigger and better things are coming up down the line here as well. But I mean, one of the things that I got to give a shout out to is I've always been very interested when you get underclassmen, and how we define underclassmen is sophomores on down. But when you get those sophomores and freshmen, which you have several of those already, I mean, making waves across the state. Brooks Vosberg, I want to touch on him and Ringler just a bit. Those guys come into a program that, like this, established. We've had years where it's been a lot of upperclassmen, and yet here you go, Coach. And there are two of several sophomores that, and I mean a list of sophomores that have been key contributors here for us. What do you see out of them, and how does that help this program, knowing that you got several more years left of those guys to, again, kind of do what the Brady Kaufmans of the world has already established?
Yeah, I feel really good about those guys you mentioned, and a whole list that we haven't mentioned, in that sophomore or freshman class. But I think it starts with our older guys, Brady Kaufman and Derek Doty, kind of taking them under their wing and showing them the right way to play the game and holding them accountable and making sure that we're doing things right. But the success that Brooks Vosberg and Josh Ringler and some of our other sophomores are having comes because they've kind of been following the leadership of those upperclassmen, and they're bought in. And I'm excited, obviously, to coach them the rest of this year and a couple of years after this. But they're just really good baseball players, really good kids that are bought into a system that's proven itself to work. And so the kids are excited about baseball.
Oh man, and who wouldn't be, Coach? I mean, this is. I love where baseball is, and as we wrap things up here, I did want to get to, baseball in Iowa. For me, I know that us at Iowa baseball, we're deep in the woods of baseball. We love it, and we can't get enough of it here. But man, I got the chance the other day. About 2 years ago, I should say, to catch up with Dan McDonald for Louisville, and he had often mentioned that I've loved coming in here and plucking some great talent from the state, not as a bash, but simply as a, hey, this state has had talent. And I think that over the last 5 years, maybe the rest of the country is finally realizing that, in a sense. Again, from playing and coaching in it here, you obviously know the breadth and the length and the depth that the state has here. But I mean, how would you rate the state of baseball right now, and just in terms of where it ranks nationally? Because there are so many. We're getting teams now that are on the top 50 nationally, and from Perfect Game, PBR. And, it seems like some programs collegiately are going, well, hey, Iowa, why haven't we tapped into that? And, I think one of the things that I love asking coaches this about is because you've seen how the state of the game has been. It hasn't changed necessarily, at least in my opinion, but it's just more recognized. I want to get your take on that. Is it has it really drastically improved that much, or is it just been more of a recognition thing that has gotten Iowa on the national board?
I do think the talent level in Iowa is the best it's ever been, but I also agree that it's been really good for a long time.
Yeah.
I think it has started with Coach Heller at Iowa has done a phenomenal job of retaining Iowa talent and filling his roster with a lot of Iowa kids. But you look at every level of college baseball in Iowa, D3, NAIA, JUCO, whatever it is, like they're filled with Iowa kids, and they're very talented teams at all of those levels. And I think that's been the success that Iowa's had, or success that other programs in different levels have had with using Iowa kids, and that's kind of brought in coaches from out of state more, I'd say. But to hit on your point, like Iowa's always been a really talented state, had talented kids. But I think maybe it's just being seen the most right now because of the success that Iowa's had at the highest level and some of the other colleges at different levels.
That is absolutely true. I love where baseball is at right now. It's exciting. It's thrilling, and of course, we'll see how things end up. Again, we have the split state tournament here at Carroll, and of course at Sioux City. Great venues is there as well there, and man, it's such a race to get there. Always fun here. But Coach, I also, as we close things here, want to say again, congratulations on big number 300 and counting now with that. This team obviously making some big waves here. Continue to make big waves, but appreciate just appreciate what you do. We can't have the game without coaches like you. So really thank you for jumping on. And I know you love it, so it's not like you're straining at all. You love what you do, but you just don't get coaches like you in the grand scheme of things too often, and we're glad to have you around. So appreciate it.
Yeah, Andrew, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you saying all those things. And like I said at the beginning, you guys do a great job here. We love tuning into your show and following you on social media and whatnot. But appreciate having me on here, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Oh, you know what? And you as well, Coach. And we'll see you we'll see you as far as you guys end up taking it. And I can't wait to see where that ends up. But again, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Stenberg, 300 wins. I mean, that is huge. You have such a small list who ends up making 100, 200, if not 300. So again, he has joined a lot of great names in the coaching world. And you know what? You can't get enough of it. Shane Sykema, as we mentioned, Seth Thompson, Randy Wee, and he's the guy that keeps on adding as well. Again, all down the list, the Gebhardts of the world, the Evans, the Nusses, the Denners. So when you get a guy that's in that ranks, you got to give a lot of love his way. So again, make sure to check out Grinnell Baseball. They have done phenomenal things. They have consistently been a top 16 team across the last few years for us. And you can see why that guy who leads the reins there is making it happen. All right, so we're going to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for tuning in, as always. Don't forget, get your performance/player of the week in and nominate on Facebook Sundays. Sunday's your time to nominate. Get them in, get there, and make it happen. And, of course, your videos, all that stuff out there we want to highlight. Please do so. But, again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for making this a part of your day. And until we see each other next time, stay safe on the base pass. Thanks again, guys.